Alright, so welcome back to another video. It's been a little bit, haven't uploaded anything for a little while, definitely not what I planned, but life happens, toddlers happen, and the holidays. But hopefully, if you guys celebrate Thanksgiving, hopefully you guys had a good one and spent it with some family, friends, playing some video games, hopefully. I definitely know I did. And also it's been a minute because the PS5. I mean, who wouldn't want to just sit there and play that for a little while? I've put a ton of time into Demon Souls. I've went through the entire game once, started a new game plus a little bit, then decided to try out Miles Morales. About halfway through that one right now, and man, I'm having a blast. It looks good, it plays good. Yeah, and definitely shorter. Like what they have been saying, a lot of reviews have been saying, but really, I mean, who cares? It's more Spider-Man. It plays just like the first one, but just different enough with the movesets you can do and the storyline that it still feels fresh and not just the same old thing. So really excited. And if you haven't played that one yet and you have the opportunity, either on PS4 or the PS5, if you're able to get one, I'd definitely check that out. But today I wanted to go over a few things. First off, I want to do some game picks. Picked up a few things. A couple Black Friday sales and a few things from some family. Excuse me. And yeah. Then next, I'm going to talk a little bit about why I play the games that I do. A lot of more of the story-driven stuff, the RPGs, the adventure games, that kind of thing. And a couple direct recommendations for anyone that's wanting to get into the genre, kind of where to start, what to look for. So got a few games that we'll go over for that. And other than that, yeah, let's get right into it. So first off, for the games I picked up, honestly, I've actually picked up a bunch. Got a big collection from my in-laws, so that was really cool. I'm excited for that. So a few in here. Won't highlight all of them just because there is a ton. But then a few that I've gotten on sale, and a few just kind of in a pack here. So first up, we'll go into. I've picked up Dark Souls 2 and 3. Now, really, a lot of it was because I played through Demon Souls. Kind of hit that nostalgia factor because when I first played on the PS3, and my brother actually asked me if I wanted to play through the trilogy. All the Dark Souls, the 1, 2, and 3, as well as Bloodborne. So me and him and a friend of ours are playing through the first one right now on the Switch, the Dark Souls Remastered. That has been a lot of fun. We're getting close to finishing that. Then we're going to start Dark Souls 2, and then actually we'll probably do Bloodborne next, and then hit Dark Souls 3 to kind of go in the route that they got released. But really excited for these ones. These ones are like the I guess complete editions. So this one says complete. This one, the Scholar, the first sin. So it has all the DLCs on, all the extra stuff. So kind of cool. It's a nice pickups. Got it for pretty cheap at GameStop. So next up, haven't even opened it yet. Mainly because I haven't beaten the first one, and me and my wife are playing through it right now. But Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity. Now, obviously, most of you have probably heard a lot about this game, so I'm really excited to try it. Set 100 years before the events of Zelda Breath of the Wild. If you've never played that one, fantastic game. But so it is the Warriors game, so more of like the Dynasty Warriors style, where it's you against massive amounts of enemies. You're going through stages, that kind of aspect. So a lot of people aren't fan of that, and so they may not like it as much. But you do still have that kind of those story elements. So not sure how it's going to go, but I'm really excited to at least try it out. All right. So the next few here, won't go into super detail on a lot of them, but wanted to highlight a couple. First, we've got Bat and Kaitos, Eternal Wings in the Lost Ocean. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Bait and Kaitos, whatever case may be. GameCube game, never played it. Looked amazing at the time. Visuals were stunning, detailed. You had the kind of those pre-rendered backgrounds that kind of don't hold up as much today, but especially at the time, so good, and love this game. And then we had Metroid Prime 3 Corruption. Now, I'd gotten this one, I believe just off eBay, but it was kind of just to round out my collection. I already had 1 and 2, and just needed this one. I do have the trilogy on the Wii U, so I've been playing through the second one. I haven't picked up for a minute, but about halfway through that one, and then next I'll do the third one because I don't remember that game at all. But fantastic games. If you've never tried any of the Metroid games, either the some of the older ones, the handheld, some the remakes that they did on the Game Boy Advance and the DS 3DS, definitely highly recommend them. The Metroid Prime series is a first-person shooter style, but have that the exploration and that, I guess, I don't know, ambiance is a good way to do it. Fantastic games, definitely highly recommend them. All right, we got Donkey Konga 1 and 2. Now, these ones, obviously, if you've played them, they have to come with these beautiful bongos, the DK bongos. So, it definitely is kind of like a spin-off game, just using the using the Donkey Kong name, to do something different. But honestly, I'm just really excited. It was an interesting premise, especially at the time. For the GameCube, it's a multiplayer game. You can have a lot of fun with it, and yeah, it's going to be just kind of a fun little thing. Hopefully, I'll be able to find another set. I believe I have to, or another set of bongos, or maybe even use controllers. I think I can. Yeah, so me and my wife could play. Me and nieces and nephews, that kind of stuff. All right, next up, yeah, I'll put them all three together. The second one on this I did get from eBay. The other two I got a local game store. But it's the Dot Hack series. We got Infection, Mutation, and Outbreak. So it was a set. They did come out with, or there was a fourth one. I'll touch on that in a little bit. And then they did come out with the Dot Hack GU series. Has three of those. These ones came out originally on PS2, and it was an interesting premise at the time of it's a RPG, a role-playing game that you're taking on the character or a character in the game. But more than that, you're playing in a game of itself. So the game is of you're in an MMO called The World. And then there's obviously it just goes from there. But really fun games. I actually really enjoyed them. So I've been on the lookout for them. And my local store had the first and the third one for a fairly decent price, and then I picked up the second one from eBay, I believe for just about $20, maybe 30. And the store did have the fourth one, but if any of you have followed the series at all, or if not, the fourth one for some reason is extremely expensive. I'm guessing, or I think it's hard to get. They didn't make very many, whatever the case may be. But at that store, I believe they were selling it for $200 just for the one. Now, they said they'd give me a deal if I had bought all three of them that they had there, but even still, I wasn't about to drop, over $100 on one PS2 game. But really excited to try these out. All right, and I picked up these. I think actually the same store, but we've got Final Fantasy X, we've got 10-2, and we got 12. Now, basically, all the Final Fantasies that came out on the almost all of them on the PS2 era. The Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus, we're not counting that one right now. But 10 was, for one, it was an amazing game at the time. It took the graphics to a whole new level. You had full voice acting, and just the style. The story was solid. It was different, but had a lot of familiar elements to it that you've seen in past entries, and just the gameplay itself was just. Honestly, and really, you can't beat it. I played it again. I bought the remastered version a few times. I think I have it on PS4 and the Switch. But 10 and 10-2, honestly, were both solid games. I will say, 10-2 does get a bad rap, and rightfully so, just because, it's focused on the three main characters there. But they basically took everything good about these characters that were in the first one and ruined it. So honestly, the story is terrible in this game. It was dumb, it was cheesy, and really just a cash grab. But I'd always said, and I still think this, that if they would have just taken the mechanics of this game, taken everything about it, taken the dress spheres portion, the combat, just the mechanics of it in general, and put a whole new storyline to it, honestly, would have been a solid game. Would have been so good. But alas, that's what we've got. And then Final Fantasy 12. If you've never played this one, in my opinion, it's one of my favorites. A lot of people don't like it too much just because there is a lot of similarities in terms of the story from Star Wars, of all things. The Gambit system of the combat. A lot of people didn't like it too much because it made it so you can automate things to the point where honestly it would get boring if you're really good at setting up your gambits. But Really great story. Honestly, really liked it. I've played it a few times. I do like the Zodiac version better. It was the Japanese version at first, but they did bring it out on the PS4 and the Switch. And the last time I played it was on the PS4. Really excited to get these ones. If you were getting into any of the starting the series, Final Fantasy X would be a great place to start if you have the PS2 or the PS4. Phenomenal game, and you could easily sink 100 hours into it. And the last one that we'll highlight that I picked up was Infinite Undiscovery for the Xbox 360. Now, if you followed RPGs at all for any of the consoles for a while, you know that the Xbox 360 had very little. When one of the other ones, my favorite, I'm going to highlight in the next portion here later on the video. But this one, it was an interesting premise, and I honestly don't know very much about it anymore. I've forgotten a lot, but I do know I remember I loved it when I got it, and I was excited because I mean it's a 2-disc game, and it came with the booklet and everything, and just which that you really don't see anymore. But came out at a time where there's a lot of RPGs, and so for this one, even just to stand out in my mind all these years later, which I mean it's got to be close probably to 10 years since I played this game. So really excited to try this one out again. But yeah, really excited to dive into some of these older games, hit some of that nostalgia factor. But hey, let me know in the comment section down below if you've ever played any of these games that I've gotten, or if you want to, if you want any recommendations, I'd be happy to. Oh, two more. Sorry, I forgot these ones I just wanted to highlight mainly because this is a collector's editions to its collector's item at its finest, and you got Legends of Zelda and The Adventures of Link on both on the NES and the gold cartridge version. So if you have followed the NES games in general, they make these. They're not super rare, but at the same time they look really nice, especially compared to the drab gray that was the original NES games. But really excited for these. If you haven't watched them, I am doing a Let's Play videos. I'm going through the Legend of Zelda, the first one. So be sure to check that out. It's been a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll wrap it up here soon. And then the next one I'm going to do is The Adventures of Link. Now it's very I guess not as well known game, and the mechanics of it are very different. It's not your typical Zelda. It has a lot more of the RPG elements to it. But I honestly love it. It's one of my favorite. I think it's extremely underrated. And if you can play it, if you have the Switch, go ahead and get that Switch Online service and download the NES app and give it a try. Or you can play the original. I believe they even came out with an NES Classic version of it on the Game Boy Advance. But phenomenal game. Really excited for it, and I'm really excited to dive into it. All right. So this next little bit, I guess I've touched on it in a previous video of gaming for veterans and that kind of thing, and why I think they should, and if they already are, what type of games should be playing. So kind of the reason for that, and the reason why honestly I play games, not just because I grew up playing them, which I mean I did, but even more so. I mean, there's been periods where I'd stop playing it, things like that, and kind of stay away from, or I guess shy away from gaming in general. But I'll show you a little clip here. It's just a small little clip. I actually got it from my little sister. She sent it to me. I think it was a couple weeks ago now. But what you're seeing is basically the first time I had gone back to my lovely state of Utah after being deployed. I spent a year, just about a year gone, gone from my family, from my friends. I spent about 9 months of that, or actually almost exactly 9 months of that overseas. I gotta say, like, for one, obviously that hits all the feels. That's me holding my little niece, who, well, for one, is huge after a year of not seeing her, but also compared to what she is now. It's been about 4 years since then, and it kind of got me thinking of, for one, what I kind of did to. I guess in all layman's terms, to what I did to stay sane while I was gone, but in general, I did a decade of service in the military, and throughout that, basically, there's a lot of things that that you do to cope with things, to cope with life, cope with the stresses of the job, that kind of thing. And I will say one of them that I've really come to, I guess, look in a new light is video games. For me, it was always just a hobby, stuff I like to do. Everyone has, things they enjoy, whether it's reading, watching TV, playing sports, doing outdoor stuff, whatever. Mine, well, a large one was video games, and it was one of those that while I was gone, while I was overseas, you had very limited contact, and I even had less contact with than most because I worked the night shift, and we do 12-hour shifts, so I had very little time to do anything. But for about that hour, maybe hour and a half to 2 hours a day that I had kind of as my own free time, a lot of it I'd sit there and play video games. I was lucky enough and blessed enough that I had a safe job while I was out there, and while it was a combat mission, it was a combat deployment, but I was able to, you know, for the little bit of downtime, come back. I brought my PS4 with me, and I was able to play some games. And uh, one of the big ones I do remember playing while I was out there was Bloodborne, which I guess I don't have it here. I don't have it sitting here, but one of those from Software, same ones that made Dark Souls and the Demon Souls. But it was while I was out there that I kind of started looking at it as something that it does help me kind of escape the world, because everyone needs an escape sometimes. Everyone needs to be able to just unwind, to forget about everything else that's going on in the world, regardless of where you are or what you're doing. I mean, you could think that you have the I guess the perfect life, the perfect family, perfect relationships, whatever the case may be, but there's always something that is a stressor. It could be your job. It could be you have young kids that going through a hard time. You have teenagers. I mean, everyone knows that's a hard time. I'm definitely not looking forward to that with my little one. But whatever the case may be, everyone needs an escape, and a lot for mine, and a lot of people obviously do or already use it for, because video games are a huge industry. But what I think a lot of vets can benefit from is that escape. And one of the big ones, and obviously it's some of the most popular games today, is Call of Duty, with the new one, the Call of Duty Black Ops. That's what you hear a lot of. But and granted, it's video games. Those games, I'm not knocking them at all. But it doesn't give you the same type of escape, obviously, because it's real world stuff. Even if they do have some fantasy elements, it's a made up story, whatever the case may be. It's still simulating war, simulating worldly things. Even stuff like Fortnite. That's completely fantasy. You're building stuff. There's no way a tower like that could be built. And some of those guns you get, that kind of thing. But at the same time, I don't know. In my opinion, it's quite different versus like those type of games that that you get up, you pick up, you play a little bit, and you call it a day. Versus stuff like Final Fantasy, and this particular Final Fantasy 9, where you're in an entire different world. You're taking control of characters. You're going through that story. You're going through the struggles, the heartbreak, I guess the politics that they put in these games, and that's why I love them. And it's also and like I had mentioned, that's what I kind of came to understand. This is my escape. This when I was gone, and subsequently anytime that has been life has been hard, beats you down a little bit. It's works grind you down into dust. Having a struggle with family, if you have people dying, that kind of thing, then it's a hard time, and obviously nothing can replace, and mask, those kind of emotions, things like that. But at the same time, if you can have something as an outlet, something to just unwind for a little bit, something just to relax, turn your mind off, or engage your mind in a different way, why wouldn't you take it? And that's why I kind of wanted to put a focus. And I have a few games here that, if you've never been into this genre before, these would be some great starting points, depending on what type of system you have, or what to do. But you can also let me know in the comment section, if you don't have any of these systems, where would you like to start, and I can definitely give you some recommendations. But like when I first previously showed you, and I'll do and this other one here, both Final Fantasies. You got Final Fantasy 9 on the original PlayStation, and for this one, the Final Fantasy 7 remake on the PS4. That's just new this year. Now, I chose these two games for one because, well, they're very similar in a lot of ways, but they're also very different. Not just in the time span of when they came out, because Final Fantasy 9 definitely came out a long time ago versus the remake of Final Fantasy 7. But they play very different, but they still have a lot of those same core elements. Now you have Final Fantasy 9, which is my personal favorite out of all the series, and And there's some that come very close, but 9 is just a solid game in my opinion in every single way. The story is just amazing. It's spot on. The combat, it's complex enough, but also simple enough that you're not overwhelmed. You don't have too much stuff going on, but you also you got to manage abilities. You got to manage what equipment you have, what equipment you want to keep while you're trying to learn the abilities of that weapon versus getting rid of it and synthesizing new weapons, whatever the case may be. But so good. It's over, or at least in this time it was 4 discs. So yeah, when you back in the day, you would know that it was going to be a long game. It came on four CDs. But I know you can get it. I mean, they've released it on so many things. You can get it on your phone. You can get it on the Switch. You can get it on the PS4. I believe the PS4 via the PlayStation Network. But if there was one Final Fantasy that I would say to start with, and if you just want to just that classic just solid gameplay and kind of really get a feel, and in my opinion, of what Final Fantasy is all about, this was the game for you. But if you want something a bit more fast-paced, a bit more modern, or well, I guess not a bit more, a lot more modern, but you still get a lot of that solid gameplay and that solid world building, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, this one is a remake of, well, it's a remake of part of Final Fantasy VII. If you know the games, the original was 3 discs, had multiple like 9, and if you've played this one or have seen it, you know that it basically covers a very small portion of the original game. They fleshed it out a lot. I believe I was about 55 hours it took me to complete this one, or to finish it. Haven't completed it yet. I was close to the end on hard mode, and yeah, I just couldn't do it after that. One more, or I guess not one more, but the only one I got on 360 here, and like I mentioned earlier, there's very few RPGs on 360, but this one, it's called Lost Odyssey, and this one, it's definitely not going to be for everybody. It's one of those that is, in a lot of ways, is very slow. It's very, very story heavy and very narrative heavy. So there'll be times and well, you can skip a lot of it and not read a lot of it. But if you really want to get into the lore and get into the story and the characters that are in this game, honestly, a lot of time, or in a lot of ways, it's like reading a book. It's very, very narrative heavy, and for me, I love it. Even though it is slower, it's one of those that you can get so into these characters that, as you're going through it, it makes you that much more invested in the whole game, in the whole storyline, because you're like, all right, what's going to happen next? How are they going to overcome this? What's this? The tragic past that's going on. Your main characters are immortals, but they don't remember anything. So it's like, okay, what's the unknown that they're trying to figure out, and how did it happen, that kind of thing. So solid game. It's a hidden gem, I think, by far, and definitely doesn't get the recognition it deserves, because it is a phenomenal game. And if you have played it, and in the community that has played it, I have seen quite a bit that people want a second one, and God, I hope so, because that would probably make my day. And for sure, like if it came out on the Xbox Series X or the Series S, I would buy it, the new system, just for that game. All right, and the last two here that I'm gonna mention in depth, I guess, is the Dark Cloud series. This is another one. I wouldn't say they're as hidden gems, because they are a bit more popular. The first one by far more than the second one, but solid games, and surprisingly hard to find nowadays. I think I've had the second one for quite a while, mainly because I love it, even though I would say it's not as popular as the first one, but the first one actually took me a while to find it. That wasn't too expensive. And these ones, they took such a interesting take on the genre. Like, it's an RPG, you're leveling up, you're gaining new items, you're making weapons, you're making them stronger, that kind of thing. You're exploring the world. But the really interesting thing is that they made it where you're rebuilding the world. Like in the first one, for instance, a lot of the towns are just gone. Like they've basically been erased, and so you have to go down into dungeons, and it's on levels. It's just level 1, 2, 3. You're just going down, and you're basically picking up pieces of a town. And basically like an item, and then you go up and then you're rebuilding it. So it's really cool, because on both of them, they kind of both have that same key mechanic, and each playthrough is going to be different because you're not going to, well, most likely, you're not going to put the town back together the same way. You're not going to get the same. You may not even get all the parts of the town each time because there are times that you don't have to rebuild the whole thing before you can move on. So it was such an interesting premise, and with the graphics of it, kind of like that, more like the cell shaded. The second one really did the cell shaded. I guess effect really well, but it looked good at that time. Just solid games, and really just ooh. I mean, if you were going to start in any kind of this type of genre where you're really getting into games, these would be great choices. They're light, they're fun, they're not quite as heavy, and at times repetitive and boring, if you will, than some of the RPGs. But yeah, fantastic games. Yeah, so I'd mentioned, kind of like, why, or why I do it, and where to start with, that kind of thing. But obviously everyone's going to have different styles, and hopefully that if you've never played any of these type of games, any of these story driven games, I do highly suggest you do, especially if you are struggling with anything, if you're having a hard time at work, you're struggling at school, you have with family and the pandemic that's going on right now. There's a lot of negative in the world, and everybody needs an escape of some kind, and there's a chance that maybe one of these games or something in this genre, can save you, can save you from a lot of misery, can save you from a lot of heartache that you've just been shouldering, and maybe all you need to do is just be able to just turn your mind off for a little bit, just to unwind and just have some fun. But let me know in the comment section down below if you are going to try any of these games, or if you don't have any of these systems, or if none of these appeal to you, or if you just want more info. Let me know, and I'll respond to whatever I can. And if you haven't, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon down below, as we trying to grow the channel here, have some fun with it. The next video I have planned, I want to do a game tour, because as you kind of see, I've been putting stuff up a little bit. I think this poster here is new. I put up some pictures or some puzzles that I've done over here of Zelda stuff. But as I finish this basement and have been building stuff, I've got a lot of cool things, and hopefully a few things more to set up. But I'll do a little video, take you guys on a little tour, and see what you guys think. But until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.